We'll be starting here at a few minutes, folks. But of course, as I do at the top of every show, just want to remind people about me and my kids GoFundMe. As you can see there, goal's 140,000. We've reached $460 so far. Still a long way to go, but as always, I just wanted to send out my appreciation and thank you to everybody who continues to share it out or has shared it out or donated so far or is going to be donating sometime in the future. All proceeds are going to a great cause. Again, you can read the hell and back and all the story on the GoFundMe that I've been through, that my kids have been through, and again, it's always greatly appreciated, any help at all. So thank you again, and we're going to get rolling here in a little bit. Thank you. Welcome, all you wrestling fans, to the 13th episode of the Pop-Up Powerbomb Podcast. Of course, I am your host, the breathtaking one, Spooky, and tonight, wrestling fans, we will be sharing our thoughts on AEW's record-setting All In PPV that happened just the other day. We dig into more CM Punk controversy. Yes, there was controversy behind the scenes at the pay-per-view over in London. We remember Bray Wyatt, Wyndham Rotunda, who sadly passed away last week. And of course, we have more in store. I got my coffee. I hope you all got yours, or a nice cold beverage and snacks. And now it's story time with the breathtaking one and cerebral one, baby. Well, of course, when he decides to join us with his presence. But shout out already to my lovely girl, Trin. Always good to see you, love, and always appreciate your support. Timmy, who's at everybody's podcast. Very supportive man. From across the pond, where All In took place. So shout out to Timmy. Of course, all the lurkers as well, and anybody that comes in during the show. Your support is always immense. And greatly appreciated. Paul just sent me a message saying he's having a weird issue right now. So he will jump in when he can. Hang on a second. So hopefully he will be joining us momentarily. But great to see everybody. This is going to be a good show. A little bit to talk about. Hey, what's good, Pyro? Always good to see you, my guy. Shout out to you, brother. And hey, you Poms brought it at the pay-per-view at AEW's All In. You were loud and proud, and biggest event in wrestling history. Set records for tickets sold and the people that turned up. Wembley Stadium, as we know, is huge. It was a really, really great event. Best wrestling event of the year so far. And the crowd helped make it. So shout out to the English and of course other Europeans that would have shown up in force as well. But of course, hit that like button, share this out. As I always say at the top of every show, it's always a great help. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please do so. There is a lot of great content from a lot of great people on the 4GQ TV channel. All right, here we go. Here's the old dog himself dragging his ass in here. Have we got you now, brother? Have we got you now? Hopefully. Hang on, I'm hearing something.
Oh, yep.
There he is.
Can you hear me? Let me hear you say yeah.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. How you doing, brother?
Fine.
Oh, that's the way. You got a lot to talk about. That pay-per-view was definitely something, man.
Yeah.
That crowd was fire, and as I was just saying, they set some records over there, and obviously it went off that well that it's going to become a yearly thing by the looks of it, because he announced All In for Wembley 2024. So that's
Yep.
great to see, and I think it's a great stadium to hold it. I mean, that stadium's freaking huge. It's one of the biggest stadiums in the world. So it was great. It was great. But of course, I want to start the top of the show on a somber note. We mentioned on Carlo's and that podcast the other day that we were going to touch on it. Wrestling fans, we had a tough week last week. Of course, we lost the late great Terry Funk at the start of the week, but he had a good run. He passed away at 79, and then we got the tragic news of a life cut too short. 36-year-old Wyndham Rotunda, better known to the greater wrestling community as Bray Wyatt, lost his life last week.
I kind of felt bad about that because I'm the one who broke the news to you guys on Wednesday.
Yeah, and it was sad. We found out. I mean, anybody that knew why he was away initially from wrestling, he caught COVID at the start of the year, and it really, hit him hard. As we know, it's hit many a person hard, and it was affecting his heart. New reports and new details started trickling out, so according to TMZ, and this is all the latest just from yesterday, he suffered a heart attack in his sleep on Thursday last week while taking an afternoon nap. Rotunda's fiance, who is a former backstage WWE interviewer, Jojo Offerman, became concerned when her husband's alarm went off for a prolonged period of time, at which point she found him in bed turning blue from lack of oxygen, and she called 911. Her mother attempted CPR, but the third-generation superstar was pronounced dead at a local hospital. Authorities reportedly said that Rotunda was not wearing his portable defibrillator at the time of his death, though they could not confirm whether or not the defibrillator could have saved his life. He had been suffering from heart issues again after he contracted COVID earlier in the year, and his doctor had reportedly recommended the defibrillator during an appointment that same morning. So Rotunda had been in the process, obviously, of attempting to get cleared for a return to the ring to start a feud with Cody Rhodes after his health scare at the time of his death. And yeah, again, it was just, very sad. Like, you kind of expect it when someone older, as I said, like Terry Funk's age and up, passes away, and they've basically lived their life, by the time they hit 80 and that. So that's kind of expected, but you don't expect this. And, as we mentioned, Paul, until the tragedy last week, there was trickle of reports coming out that he seemed to be doing well and seemed to be getting to a point that he was on the verge of returning to the ring. And unfortunately, this came out of left field for the poor guy, unfortunately. As I said, he was already dealing with heart issues from the COVID, and obviously this caused a massive heart attack, which sucks. And, this is another reason why this is sad. I mean, apart from obviously his age, as we discussed, he's a father of 4, 2 kids with JoJo, and he had 2 kids from a prior relationship. So he leaves 4 children behind, obviously. JoJo, his missus, behind as well. And his whole family. I mean, his mum and dad are still alive. I think I touched on it and said that, doesn't matter how old your child gets, a parent should never have to bury their child. The parent should be going first. That's how we'd all want it to go, obviously. But we lost.
And at least one of his kids was just an infant, right? Or a toddler?
Yeah, that latest one that he had. Yeah, that's right. But we lost, in a lot of people's opinion, and I fully agree with it too, because I loved Bray Wyatt. I loved Wyndham Rotunda. He had a great mind, but we lost probably one of the greatest minds of this generation. He was so creative. That's why WWE just let him go and do his thing. From the initial inception of the Wyatt family to then, turning into the Fiend and having the 5-5 Funhouse. So you had the Fiend and the split personality of this childlike character as well. To then his big return, as I said last year, when he had been out for a little while with injury, and he came back as a very was showing, I think, the closest you'd probably would get out of him showing a character to his real self, where he was just coming back as Wyndham, basically. And, he did that big speech where he was thanking everybody. He got real emotional too, which I think was very real emotion, thanking everybody for the support and everything while he was out and everything. And, that's where he brought into the Uncle Howdy character and that. But this is a huge loss. This is a huge loss, again, because creative genius.
I think he could have been this generation's Mick Foley. In a sense, if you get my meaning.
Yeah, that
with and all the different character types that he did, and the different, the hardcore type wrestling he did.
And I also think we've lost this generation's Vince McMahon from creative genius side of things. Like this guy, in reality, could have taken on a huge backstage role once he hung it up. You know what I mean? Like he was just a genius. He freaking was. Yeah. And you don't see a lot of wrestlers have that creative genius like what Wyndham Rotunda had. They've all commented on, all the wrestlers, from John Cena, Edge, AJ Styles, they've all said the exact same thing. This guy was just on another level, Yep. He could have wrote a whole script, basically, Apparently he had a movie about himself in the work. He was working on a horror movie too. I don't know if they finished wrapping up before he died, but he was working on a horror movie when he was out initially before he returned. And it was sort of surrounded, I don't think it was the Fiend character, but something similar to the Fiend character, like a horror character like that. This is how creative this guy was. I mean, he could have easily transitioned to Hollywood and wrote scripts for TV shows or something like that. That's how brilliant of a mind we've lost here. It's just really sad, man. It's really sad. What do you what was some of your favourite moments, I guess, while we're talking about him?
Well, about him, I couldn't tell you many, because I watch wrestling. It goes in one eye and out the other. But it really kind of does. I don't go, except for like key moments. Like I remember when Hulk beat Andre. I was watching that, but but I do remember he was always fun to watch. I did watch Friday, and when Cody came out and gave his little salute to him, I thought it was very well done.
Yeah.
And like you said, all the text they were showing, I'd seen a lot of them because I am on the X and I see a lot of that stuff.
Right.
And all of them were very, they couldn't believe it and how much he meant to them and what he,
Yeah.
I don't think there isn't one of them where they said, well, he helped me do this or he helped me do that or, that he was always willing to help the younger guys, the older guys, help them do something that they wanted to do.
There wasn't a bad thing said about this man. Like, he was so welcoming to everybody, and had a lot of respect, held a lot of respect backstage.
And when somebody first dies, you get that a lot, but usually a couple of days after that, if they were a problem, those little notes start to come out too.
Yeah.
And I don't see any of that.
No, not with him. He was so beloved. That's what I mean. Like, there's not a single bad thing anybody's could say about him. Even like there's been a few wrestlers that come out and talked about his early days. Before he turned into the Bray Wyatt character when he first debuted in WWE, he was known as Husky Harris, right? And even then, when you might expect some trouble, because he's a young kid coming in, that's where usually when they play up and stuff. Nothing. He's been this way the whole time, the way people have described him, and I think his dad really got him, ready for the business. Got both his sons ready for the business. Obviously, Bo Dallas is his brother and the other son. Because for those that don't know, and Trin wasn't even aware, she remembered the character. Their dad played a character called IRS, who used to come out with $1 Million Man all the time. And Mike Rotunda is his name. And I
don't remember if he was before or after his $1 Million Man had his little buddy that used to get the big guy. I can't even think of his name.
I'm trying to think too. I know he used to come out with Virgil too.
Virgil, that's who I'm thinking about. Yeah. And I can't remember if IRS came before or after Virgil.
Yeah, because they ended up having a tag team, the two of them. They were like some sort of business type name, obviously, because you had the $1 Million Man, you had IRS that was basically being someone from the IRS.
Yeah.
Again, he was great back in his day himself, and he really got his sons prepared for this. And as I said, like this, he just bloomed, and the writers backstage didn't have to do too much because Bray would come with them with a brilliant fucking story, and so they just ran with it, and it's sad, it really is, because he had a lot more obviously to give. I was just thankful that he had became world champion a few times, because he was definitely deserving of world champion. He was a main eventer. He made himself that way. He was basically, and he, if you remember, one iconic moment, Taker passed the torch to him. He was going to basically take Taker's role as that sort of dark character. And, especially with the Fireflies, he had the whole audience in the palm of his hand. The iconic lantern, which we'll touch on very soon with one of the entrances at All In House of Black paid tribute. So, this isn't just in WWE. This has gone across the board. I've seen Impact Wrestling show respect. There's companies that he didn't wrestle for that are paying respect because of his brilliance and because of how much respect he had for people and people had for him. He's a very friendly guy, very well received, and was willing to work with anybody and help anybody. And you like to hear this especially in a world where there's a lot of
better to hear that than what we're going to talk about later in the show.
Yes. A world where there's this wrestling, it's nothing new, mind you, but it's filled with jealousy. It's filled with actual general heat and hate between people. 9 times out of 10, again, due to jealousy. And it's lovely to hear stories like this, like Mick Foley. Mick Foley didn't have... No, I don't think anybody can say anything bad about Mick Foley. Mick Foley got along with everybody, right? He got along with everybody. And so it's good when you hear that.
And I've never heard anything bad about it. Wyndham's brother, who is still going to be wrestling when he comes back.
Yeah, Bo Dallas, exactly. It'd just be interesting now if he's still going to play the Uncle Howdy character or if he's just going to come back as Bo Dallas or what they're going to do with him. I'd like to see him continue Bray's legacy and keep doing the Uncle Howdy character because I think that can still work. But we'll see. Obviously, they're in a time of mourning now and they'll take their time and hopefully we see him back in the ring at some point. But, again, shout out.
I saw that they acknowledged him and Terry on tonight's show as well as last Friday's. They did the ceremonial 10 count. The 10 rings of the bell.
Yeah.
Friday as well.
I think they both. Well, they did. I know Bray definitely did, but I think even Funk went after they both passed after last week's Raw had happened. So
they did.
I was sitting there when I watched SmackDown, going, I hope the Raw crew gets to have their time to pay their respects and stuff like that. So it was good to see.
And I wouldn't be surprised to also see something about it this weekend either.
Yeah, exactly. And they made SmackDown all about Bray. That was lovely to see too. That was basically turned into a massive tribute show. The only thing I didn't like about SmackDown is they tried to put on a hardcore match for respect to Funk, and that was just abysmal. Compared to the stuff that I remember seeing Terry Funk do and the matches that was not a hardcore.
Well, I think because a lot of it is because they're not allowed to do it.
No. I mean, I didn't have to see no exploding barbed wire match like him and Mick Foley did and stuff like that. But I just would have liked to seen a little bit better hardcore match, representative, some more chairs, more table. It just seemed lacking a little bit. Yeah.
Well, in my opinion, it could have been better, but also they had less than a week to put it all together too. To find two guys that are willing to do it, and then to figure, okay, how are we going to do it? What are we going to do?
Right.
It could have been much better. They to me they might have even held off for. They could have held it off for the pay-per-view as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Hey, find a couple of guys that aren't wrestling that weekend and throw them at it.
Exactly. Hey, what's good, Yobi? Good to see you, brother. Peace, love, life. Peace, love, life, brother. No, but I mean, there was a match at All In was definitely, which we're going to touch on here in a second. That was definitely, in my opinion, representative of what Terry Funk would have been looking down, smiling. I'm telling you that on that stadium stampede, he would have been smiling at that. That is exactly the type of match that I was looking forward to, pay respect to Funk. But moving on from the somber moment, and rest in peace to both Terry Funk and Wyndham Rotunda. They are definitely both going to be sorely missed by many generations. Fantastic wrestlers.
Yeah. I didn't see that he had been told to suggested to wear his D-fur, and he wasn't wearing it.
No,
and that's just too bad. That's just too bad.
I mean, before we do move on, just on that, like they said, they don't know if it would have helped him or saved him, but it could have given him just that little bit of maybe extra time to work on him to attempt to save him. But it is what it is now, and
because I've had a couple of friends who have been medically told, look, you need to wear this,
Yeah.
And it has saved their life,
So, moving on to the big pay-per-view over in jolly old England at Wembley Stadium, one of the oldest and biggest and greatest stadiums in the world. And boy, oh boy, I mean, that stadium is massive. I mean, if you watched it and tuned in, that was huge. And again, Europe and the English turned out for it. They, of course, set broke and set the attendance record for a pro wrestling event at 81,035, and I think all up with staff that was there included, they were very close to 90,000 all up of people that were actually in the actual stadium, and so it was a great accomplishment for a very young wrestling company. And I mean, we're going to go through the matches here, but honestly, top to bottom, that was a 10 out of 10 pay-per-view. I mean, the matches ranged from good to absolutely brilliant. There wasn't a bad match on this card. There really wasn't, in my opinion. Even the Punk and Joe match that I thought may have been the bad one, we said, oh, that's probably looks like it'll be the worst one. That even... in my opinion, lived up to expectations of obviously taking in their age as well.
Personally, I think that one was good because Punk was seriously pissed off at that point.
Oh, so. Yeah.
Seriously.
No, but I mean, like, you know, due to their age and their injury history and that, you know, I wasn't expecting them to put on, like, their Ring of Honor style matches from back in the day. But no, it lived up to the hype. But, you know, first things first, we had 2 matches on the pre-card. One that I think probably surprised you just as much as me because we both went the other way on this. The Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships changed hands.
Yeah, I was, and in a pre-show of all things.
And I didn't. Hey, what's good, Dredd? What's good, brother? Good to see you, man. It was Yobi, 95% filled. That exactly, absolutely insane. Hats off to you know, Tony and AEW. But MJF and Cole, I wasn't expecting them to win the Ring of Honor World. I really wasn't. I mean, I was happy that they did. But I just didn't expect it. I was like, no, they're going to do something here to try and add a little bit more to the main event later on. But it was a good little match. It, you know, a good little 8-minute match. Both teams put on a heck of a show. I love the whole, you know, chemistry between Cole and MJF, and they hit the double clothesline. No, it was really, really good. And of course, we had their little bit at the end where Cole was like staring at the world title, which I was like, oh, here we go. We're going to have a little bit more tension to build up. But yeah, I mean, that was a great little opening match, obviously, on the pre-card. And then, of course, we had Hook taking on Jack Perry, and Hook won back the FTW championship. I thought, again, it was a pretty decent little match. I love seeing Hook throw Jack Perry around like a rag doll, especially all over the limousine.
Yeah.
I liked Jack Perry's little smugness, little move when he did the whole RVD and did the Rolling Thunder. I was like, damn, they're pulling out all the stops on this. This is the pre-show. You know, again, for another 8-minute match, it was a little insane there. And I knew both the young fellas would put on a good match. You know, they're not even in the primes of their careers yet, those two. But you could definitely see a lot of Taz in his son. Like, he does a lot of those suplexes like his old man used to do back in the day.
Right.
And, again, it was another good warm-up match to get everybody ready for the main card, I thought. So, of course, you also had on the pre-show Paul White, a.k.a. The Big Show, and the 2 Poms that he brought out with him come and smack Jeff Jarrett around a bit. I thought that was quite a little entertaining segment. How he knocked out the tall Indian fella. I thought, what's his name, Singh? He knocked him out. I thought that was freaking brilliant. I thought it was well done. What was the other little segment we also had on the setup, because they got another pay-per-view, folks, happening this weekend called All Out. We has had All In. Now we're going to have All Out, which we'll touch on a little bit later in the show. But they had the setup of Hobbs and Miro as well, which I thought was a good little face-off. Just to help build that, because they've only got a week turnaround, obviously. We'll probably see a little bit more build between them two on Dynamite.
I didn't realize till you just said it that we're getting a double feature pay-per-view weekend again this weekend.
Yeah. And as I said, you don't usually see a company put on a pay-per-view one weekend, then do another one the following weekend. But I mean, it kind of makes sense when you think, because of the names of the paper, All In, All Out.
Right.
I mean, they are, as we know, they got the names from casinos. I'm going all in, I'm going all out.
Yep.
So
right.
It makes a lot of sense. And he's already announced too that it's going to be that way next year too. So they'll do All In again at Wembley Stadium, and then the following weekend will be All Out, whether that be in Chicago or wherever it'll be next year. But that's already been announced. But let's get into the discussion of the main show. The first match of the evening, I thought, was a great spot for Punk and Joe. Obviously, Punk coming out on top, which me and you both predicted that was likely going to be the case.
There was no way. Yeah, there was no way that was going to go the other way.
No, and no. I mean, hey, I personally think to start the night off for the main card, that was a great match to start it off. The crowd was getting right into it. I mean, Punk came out, as we've seen, the whole crowd singing away to his theme music. There was a lot of Joe's Gonna Kill You chants. And the crowd, to me, about, I'd say a quarter of the way through, seemed to turn. Like, they initially seemed like they were more on Punk's side, but then they turned and they started getting right behind Joe and booing Punk.
Yeah.
And Punk
about the time he started bleeding.
Yeah. Oh,
actually,
did it? Yeah,
really.
He bleed too. He was bleeding like as Jay asked it, he bleeding like a stuffed pig.
Yeah. When they pulled him out from the table and he had all that blood all over him, I'm like, oh, here we go.
Oh, how good was that spot too? I've never seen anybody get thrown through the table like that. Like, we see people get put through the table, as in like powerbomb.
Yeah.
Never seen someone get put through where the commentator's feet are.
No. that
was different.
I watched that. I was like, what just happened? Is that normal?
No, but I loved it. I was like, it's different. It's different. How about that kick where he threw him in, Joe had him into the guardrail, and then he charged and did that massive, oh man, I was like feeling it.
Did you hear that thump? Did you hear the thump?
Yeah.
When he did that?
Yeah. I was like, oh, damn. And then Joe was having fun with the crowd, man. He was loving it too. I mean, that's the biggest crowd, Samoa Joe. And I was so glad to see Joe finally get a moment like that. I mean, the man has been one of the best in the business for years. But he had always been, in the high indie scene. And we know WWE didn't do too much with him, and he did have a big role on Impact Wrestling for a while and that, but I mean, nothing on this scale. So basically he got his WrestleMania moment, and that was great to see. But he was dancing.
And like you said, by the end of the match, he had the crowd.
Oh yeah, yeah, he was over.
Definitely,
yeah, he was over. And I didn't realize too. The other thing I didn't realize. I mean, sometimes you pay attention, sometimes you didn't realize how long he's actually had his Ring of Honor championship for. It came up when he was coming out as 500 and something. He's had it over a year now. So I was like, damn, okay. So I didn't realize he'd had that. I knew he had it a while, but I didn't think he'd had it for over a year. But no.
You know why? Because they don't mention it a lot. Why it doesn't.
So it was.
So you lose track of it if they're not talking about it every week.
Yeah, exactly. And then of course, so that was a fantastic way to start it off. And then of course, what was the next match that came on? I'm pretty sure was the. What was the next one that followed that? Was it the 6-man tag? Was it with
I think so. Yeah, it all blends to me. So.
Yeah. So Bullet Club Gold with Takeshita. I think me and you called this. I think our boy Josh went the other way, But I think me
Right.
and you called Bullet Club was gonna come out on top, which they did in this match. But look, by all accounts, again, it was a fantastic, 6-man tag match. What was your thoughts
Yeah.
on that? Like, there was some great spots I thought in that, like the Guns getting involved on the outside and then getting their
Right.
heads kicked off, basically.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
insane.
Some of the stuff they've been doing in their multi-person tag matches has just been amazing.
Yeah.
You know, these guys are just on fire. They're so much fun to watch.
And I thought,
They,
because I was a little bit critical because I'm used to seeing better from him. I thought Kota Ibushi's performance here was better than what it was in the Blood and Guts match. I thought he seemed in a lot better shape. He was moving around a bit better. I mean, mind you, when he did the Blood and Guts match, they did say he'd been out for a good 6 months. So he obviously had that ring rust. But he looked like the Kota Ibushi. I mean, where he was in the ring and he's telling him, hit me, and he's just no emotion and he's getting hit. I'm like, this is the Ibushi I freaking love. Like, he goes into this death mode and he'll just say, hit me, and he just sits there, he no-sells it, right? And I'm like, and then his kicks, man, every time. Oh, I'm like, feeling whack. I'm like, oh, good God. What did, I think Don Callis in commentary said, he made a comment like his legs are made out of granite or something. I was like, well, no shit. Like, wow. And then Kenny Omega, man, I mean, like, he's one of my favorite wrestlers. I loved where he got the crowd right into it doing the Terminator. And then he flip over the top rope, man. That was insane.
that top rope flip was really cool.
It was, man. Like, he's one of the best to do that, and he just makes it look like with ease. But I mean, everybody had a spot in this match. As I said, they all had their little time to shine. Takeshita, man, I mean, he hits freaking hard too, just like a boot. Those Japanese, man, whew, they'll nearly knock your damn teeth out, eh? Like, and they chop and oh man, and like when him and Ibushi were kind of going back and forth with elbowing each other or forearming, I'm like, oh Jesus Christ, these boys are just like full blown going here. Man, it was insane. It was an insane match. But again, I thought that giving it to the Bullet Club Gold was the right way to go here. And Takeshita, obviously it keeps the Takeshita Don Callis versus Kenny Omega feud going, because that's a long burning feud.
Right.
Having him, sort of come out and get the win there. But as I said, like to you last week, I thought to give Bullet Club Gold that more notoriety and help them build as a team, I thought they needed a strong victory and a big victory, and this just sort of cements them now as, hey, we're one of the top groups here in AEW, and I like that whole build beforehand where they're like, the elite think that they're the best of the Bullet Club. Well, we're here to teach them a lesson and teach them that's not the case, and it was good. It was good. I thought the build even was really good for that match. Then, of course, we had FTR and the Young Bucks, bro. FTR and the Young Bucks. The V-Trigger. Yeah, bro, the V-Trigger is beautiful. Every time, man. Every time Kenny does a V-Trigger. Oh, damn. That was a heck of a World Tag Team title match. A heck of a match, man. And I remember last week I said I couldn't choose. I'm glad I didn't choose, because it really, honestly, it could have gone either way, and I don't think the crowd would have been disappointed either way, whether the Young Bucks came out on top or FTR. But I think with FTR now taking, because this was the rubber match, the 2-1 lead over them, and I think that's going to be while they're still wrestling, these two tag teams, because there is actual legitimate, I won't say full-blown hate, but they don't get along. They're not friends, these two teams. Right. And I think that adds to it. You know, I've always said that with wrestling. I love it where there's actually real tension there because it kind of adds to the whole storytelling and match.
Yep. As long as they don't try to actually physically hurt each other.
No.
During the match,
So like, put it this way: this isn't a situation like a situation, as I said, and there's a lot to it that we'll be getting into after we've covered the pay-per-view here. These two teams, you know, as I said, they're not the best of friends, but I think there's respect enough between them that they're like, okay, we might not get along, but we're leaving our BS at the door. And we're going to, you know, do the right thing and make sure we all come out unscathed and put on a good match. So I think there might not be the best friends or sending each other Christmas cards, but I think there's respect between the two. And, man, it was a fantastic tag team match, which we all knew it was going to be. You got, as I said, you've got the high-flying sort of new-gen style of the Young Bucks going against that sort of throwback style of a Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson style with FTR. And I just think that the two styles mix so damn well. You know, I loved the moment where they had one of the Young Bucks, I'm pretty sure it was Matt, and they kissed his cheeks and then did the FTR trigger, as they call it, instead. And the Young Bucks, I mean, they did everything that they could possibly pull out, man, and I think both tag teams, I think you'll agree, you know, walk out with that. Oh yeah,
that was probably, I mean, to me that was a really fun match to watch. Probably I was engaged in that match the whole time because I didn't know who was going to come out on top.
No.
You know.
No. You know, and yeah, that's probably true. That probably does add to why they don't like each other. You're not wrong, because at the end of the day, as we are well aware, FTR is very, very close with CM Punk, and you know, he's got that out with the Young Bucks and the Elite, so that probably doesn't help there. But again, I think at least between them, though, like I mentioned, there's enough respect there that, you know, they can work together. You know,
we don't have to like each other to work with each other, type of thing.
No, exactly. So that was a fantastic match, which we knew it would be. Then we had the big Stadium Stampede. Now, here we were predicting, were they going to film this? Was this going to be like a recorded match? You know, because they've done this match before, but they've done it in empty stadiums. So we were trying to figure out how it was going to work. Well, boy, oh boy, did they make it work, and did they go everywhere. Everywhere.
Yes, they did.
They lived up. And as I said, this was the match that Terry Funk would have been upstairs with a big smile on his face, because this lived up to the hype that was surrounding. Right. They put on a show, and that crowd ate it up. They even went into, what did they say it was? The King's or the Prince's box, where obviously, you know, Charles or wherever goes.
Where the royal shit when they go to an event there. Yeah,
they were in there. They went backstage. They went everywhere. John Moxley ended up with wooden skewers in his head. I'm like, oh damn. Oh, man, the spots during this match was just insane. Penta changed clothes and came out as his more darker character. He went from Penta El Zero Miedo to El Zero, and he came out and did that ladder spot, which I thought was insane, up on the top of the ramp. Oh, man. Eddie Kingston coming down in after being had the bottle smashed on his freaking head. He was a bloody mess, but he came down, did his thing, like beat the crap out of everybody that was moving. What about Orange Cassidy, man? Did the duct tape the opposite way, so he had the stickiness, and then he dipped his hand in the bloody bucket with glass, bro. I'm like, oh, here we go.
I'm like, oh, yeah.
This is gonna be insane. Wheeler Yuta got his butt kicked from one side of the frickin' stadium to the next, which I love to see, because I can't stand Wheeler Yuta. Like, he's the only person in the Blackpool Combat Club that I think just doesn't suit it, because I'm like, this kid he's just a bit of a whiny little bastard sometimes. But he got his ass kicked, man. I was loving it, man. I love this match, man. I think the crowd spoke for it too. It was also great to see Santana and Ortiz back too. That it was just insane, man. It was as insane as, you know, the previous iterations of the match. I thought What was your thoughts on it, brother?
Oh no, to me, I think that might have been the match of the night. It's like,
Definitely one of them.
Yeah, and dude, it's going to be hard for them to follow that up this next weekend. I'm just saying.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, if they got a hardcore match going on next week, yeah, good luck topping that. They had the beer flowing and everything in this, like that. Oh man, yeah. Everything that you could possibly thought going into it that they were going to pull out, they pulled out, man.
Yep, but that's what I'm saying is, Wednesday night, what are they going to do to keep the things going? And then next weekend they have another pay-per-view and they're going up. I don't think they're not directly going up against WWE, but 2 pay-per-views in a weekend. That's second time in 2 months they've done that,
and man, like 2 people I felt for in that match. Trent Beretta, bro, like, oh my god, that poor guy had some big spots where I'm sitting there feeling for his back and feeling for his hip. Oh man, and then Mr. Fight every single night if he bloody could, Orange Cassidy, hence why he's got so much tape on his back and his shoulders, and he fights nearly every night. Dynamite, Rampage, Collision, pay-per-views, you name it, he's fighting.
I know. The man looks like a walking ad for Icy Hot. Okay.
Yeah. And like
he really
last night he looked like he'd been in a train wreck. Like I was like, good God, like. How he ended up having the energy to do what he did at the end of the match, I don't know. Because he was another one who was pissing out blood. Like, he was bleeding me all over the place. I'm like, good God. And then how about freaking, that was another good spot. Trent Beretta's mum drove out, handed him a bloody baking tray. Oh, man, that was a great spot. That's a great.
Here you go, baby. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
All the little treats that were on the thing went flying. I'm like, no one's gonna eat them. Oh, come on. And then like the commentators are like, oh, she's got a license to drive in Britain. Does she know that she has to drive on the opposite side? That was funny, man. Like the commentary all night was top notch too. I mean, before we continue with the match, the commentary was fantastic. From England's own Nigel McGuinness, as I said, he was putting on a show. JR, who else was there? Taz, and of course the man, the mask. Like fantastic, just a fantastic night for them. Then of course we get into the Fatal 4-Way for the Women's World Championship. You want to know something? Once I saw Soraya's entrance, I said, it's over. It's done. She's winning. Done. You're coming out to quit. You're coming out to Queens. We will rock you. They had the crowd just absolutely going bonkers. Hometown girl. I said, nah, she's got it. Come out to Queen. You got it. And it was funny watching the breakdown of the Outcasts. The Outcasts are completely no more.
Yeah,
she went off when Toni Storm hit her mum, and then they had to hold Mama back because she was trying. She was trying to jump the guardrail. I mean, for those that don't know, her whole family are freaking wrestlers. Her mum, is one of the most violent women's wrestlers that you'll ever come across. When I was wrestling even myself, she came out here and she wrestled for a few of the companies out here. She is as tough as nails, that woman. That's where Paige gets it from, Soraya gets it from, right? She's named after her mum too. But from the dad to the brothers to the nephews that were out there, they all wrestle. It's a whole family thing. And she looked good in that match, man. She really did. Considering, what she's come back from. I thought it was probably one of the best women's matches I've seen in a long time. I thought all the women, and you know my feelings on Toni Storm, but I thought all the women were fantastic in that match.
Yeah, and you're right. Mom would have come out there, and if she could have gotten the ring, she would have really taken and given some bump. She would have. Yeah, like, let's go.
I mean, she's in her 50s now, and she still wrestles.
She'd still do it. She would still do it, dude.
They all still wrestle except for Dad. Dad's now just a trainer, But yeah, Mum still wrestles. You know, she still wrestles. They mentioned that she still wrestles on the wrestling scene over in England. And I'm pretty sure she still comes out here and a few other places, you know, on the indie scene. Yep. But her mum's legendary. Her mum is legendary. And her brother, one of her brothers, the one that usually turns up to watch her, and I think was also in the movie that was done about him. He's been huge in the English wrestling scene for years himself. But no, as I said, the minute she came out to "We Will Rock You," I was like, it's over. We're getting a new champion. Yeah, we're definitely getting a new champion.
They telegraphed that. They're giving him a hometown champion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sitting there going, you can't have her come out to that and lose now. Well, you can't have her coming out to Queen and lose.
Yeah.
Even I was singing away, man. I didn't think I was going to. I thought she was just going to come out, and I'm like, hang on a second. And I heard the doo, 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 doo. I'm like, what the hell? Well, I'm like, here we go. But that crowd.
I'll tell you what, and Tony Khan paid a pretty penny to use that song. I guarantee you.
Well, hey, I don't doubt that, because he's obviously happy to pay a pretty penny to Elton John too for Saturday Night Live. You know, he doesn't mind forking out like the amount of money. Right. I think the most amount of money. I guarantee he probably paid cheaper money for Queen's "We Will Rock You" than he had to pay for. He's already mentioned the most expensive copyrighted song he's paid for was "The Final Countdown" for Bryan Danielson.
Yeah,
and I don't get that, because honestly, that band was basically a one-hit wonder. Why the hell are you asking for an? I know the song's a real classic song, but why are you asking for an exorbitant amount of money? Like, you're not Queen, you're not Elton John. Like,
you got one song that everybody likes.
Yeah, and that's it. Like, I get, you got to get some royalties on the thing, but you're a one-hit wonder. You shouldn't be asking for like Elton John type money. Like, you know,
I think part of it is because people are willing to pay.
I mean, that wasn't the only licensed song. We get to the next match, and Sting comes out to his old WCW theme, which is Metallica's "Seek and Destroy." I thought was awesome. Oh man, I love the little lead up intro too, where he's in the English top hat and he's trying, jolly good. No, it's not that time now, but it's show time. That coffin match, man, that was something else. I've only ever seen singles coffin matches, and to see a tag team, like, to sort of change it up a bit, I thought was different. There was some wicked spots in that. I'm telling you, man, there was some wicked. The only one who I didn't feel really added anything to the match. I thought Darby, Sting, and Swerve all were fantastic. I didn't think Christian Cage was pretty much.
Yeah, they didn't really use him a whole lot.
No, it was not. That's the only thing I'm going to say negative about that. He was. Basically to me, he was invisible.
I'll tell you what, though, toward the end, that table shot they did with Sting, holy crap, dude, that man is too old for that shit.
I know, but he's crazy bastard, you know. He's a crazy bastard. That's what I love about Sting. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, and I'd have to go back and watch because I blinked, but it looked like they did it twice because the first time the table didn't give. Yeah. You know, it's like, ow.
You're not wrong. Just quickly, Yobi, the Gun Club did come out to 50 cents many men a while back. Yeah, exactly. Tony Khan has no issue paying for the. I think he enjoyed it. That adds to it and that. But no, back to the coffin mat. Like, Darby Allin is just one crazy SOB. He will put his body through freaking hell, man, and boy, did he put his body through hell in this match. There was a couple of times there on a few ways that he landed from some of the moves he did, or that Swerve was doing on him. I'm sitting there going, oh, his poor neck, his poor freaking neck. Oh my. And then, like, when they had Swerve in the freaking coffin, and he's put his arms, and then freaking Sting's sitting there, bang, 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 bang. And I'm like, oh my God. And then, like, even when they had Sting in there, and he's just cheeky smart, I'm like, this is not going to close. They threw the bloody bat in there. He stuck the bat out.
Yeah.
Darby doing the coffin drop on top of the freaking coffin as well. I'm like, oh, he tried it. I think he tried it. I don't know if it was a coffin drop or something else. He tried it the first time, and then Swerve moved, and so he landed. I'm like, oh, the thud on that coffin,
that's
bro.
right.
Oh, he's back.
Yeah, it's gotta hurt.
Yeah, he's back, and he dented the freaking. I'm like, oh, good God. And then, of course, little Prince. I love Nana because he just adds. I think he's a little funny little manager. He got involved and Sting kicked his ass. Yeah. Oh man, it was great. It was great. And if this is, there is rumors that it could have possibly been one of Sting's last matches. I mean, what a show to go out on. That man, even at his age, as I said, I could still sit there and watch him wrestle all day compared to, say, Ric Flair. Like, Sting's always kept himself in great shape. And a man that's in his early 60s, he certainly still doesn't move like a 60-year-old.
No, and he definitely puts his body at risk, okay? That was no joke. That was...
Yeah. Hey, what's good, PK? What's good, brother? Yeah, you're not wrong, Yobi. He was basically following Sting and Darby and Swerve. AR Fox was originally supposed to be in the match, but Christian took his place. That's right. Yeah, he just was an afterthought, really, in the match. He really was Christian Cage. Like,
right.
I was expecting a little bit more from him, but like they just kept doing things to him to kind of take him out of the picture. And really, it was Darby, Sting, and Swerve that carried the whole damn match. And again, Swerve is one of my favorites, and that man could wrestle a freaking pillow, like, or a broomstick. Like, he's that good. I
Both of those sound really kinky, but I'll let that go. But,
well, I've heard wrestlers make that statement before of wrestling like they're that good that they could wrestle. I think Ric Flair started that. Oh, I could wrestle a broom and make it look good, And so, that's what I mean. Swerve Strickland is one talented dude, and I hope one of these days he gets his just desserts. I think he's got main event art written all over him. And one day I think I could see him easily as AEW World Champion. I hope he gets his just desserts. Like, he's amazing talent on the microphone, in the ring. And as I said, him, Darby, and Sting put on a heck of a show. And it was very well worthwhile match between the women's match and, of course, the next match, which was, again... in my opinion, lived up to what I was expecting from it. I knew Will Ospreay would have to kind of carry Jericho just a little bit. I mean, Jericho's 50 now, but as I said, Jericho can still put on a show. And these two did. They got given 15 minutes, and it was everything and more. I thought. I
was going to say they used every bit of that 15 minutes.
They did. They did. And after this, it definitely cements Will Ospreay, in my opinion, as the best wrestler in the world today. Like he said, I think on the Collision or Dynamite before this, if he was to beat Jericho, which he did, that's Jericho, Kenny Omega, and the Rainmaker, Japan's Rainmaker. He's beat them all in the space of 2 months. Three greats, three of the best to do it, and he has beaten them. He is on top of the wrestling world now. I don't think he needs Don Callis. I don't think Don Callis adds anything to Will Ospreay. He's got his own group anyway, which is that United Empire with Aussie Open and Jeff Cobb. So he doesn't. He's a leader. He does not need Don Callis. I thought Don Callis added absolutely nothing to this match. I thought Sammy added more to it, really, from the outside than what Don did, because Sammy, he has talent up to the razoo, and his expressions, sort of helped add it to it, especially there at the end where, he was trying to console Jericho and Jericho's pushing him away. But look, these two put on a great show. Was it a 5-star match like Will and Kenny Omega did? No, of course not. But I definitely would give it a 4 stars because, as I said, Jericho can still go, and they told a story in that ring. You had the guy that's on, that's been on top of the mountain, as we could say, the GOAT, or one of the GOATs, and Jericho appointed to this. Will's still the young up-and-comer, basically, even though he's been around a minute too. But Jericho's been doing this for several decades, and he's been at the top of the mountain, and, I knew the whole time that he wasn't going to win this match. I knew that he was going to put Ospreay over, and I thought the way it was handled, the way the match panned out, was exactly how I thought it would pan out. They pulled out all the stops.
They need to continue doing that. They need to continue putting the younger guys over and letting them start to take over. Yeah. These old guys, yes, we recognize them, we know their names, we know what they can do or what they were able to do. But at some point, you got to start passing that torch. You cannot depend on the older guys to carry your brand forever. It doesn't work.
And Will Ospreay, I mean, damn, they were hitting each other hard in this match, like that elbow that he does to the back of the head. Although Jericho asked for it at the end, he faced him. Usually he does it to the back of their head, and he faced him. He goes, "No, I want you to hit me in the jaw." And he did his finisher, the Stormbreaker, twice on him. Oh, man, that move looks sick. That move, it looks like a difficult move to do, say, especially if you're trying to lift up someone that and Jericho these days, he'd have a bit of weight to him. I'm not Big Show weight, but yeah, just to get him up like that twice, up on your shoulder, and then spin him off your shoulders, how Will Ospreay does. Just beautiful execution. Man.
And the other side of that is Jericho knows how to help him.
Yes.
Jericho's been doing it a long time.
He does. And Jericho, man, he pulled out all the stops, man. He even took us back to the Lionheart days where he was a cruiserweight. He was doing some spots there in that match that reminded him of when he was younger, and then
I think it was a couple of things he did off the ropes. I was like, really?
I mean, he doesn't do it too often now, but he does the lion still, right? He does the line, and I remember how easy it was for him back in the day. As I said, he was smaller, he was lighter. Now he's not fat, he's just carrying more bulk. He bulked up, and I was like, especially at his age, I'm like in amazement every time I do see him do the line salt, because it still looks as good as ever when he does do it. I mean, it probably wouldn't.
He's one of those that once he gets up on top, he looks very good. But sometimes watching him get up there isn't that,
No, exactly. But no, this was great. It was, in my opinion, a great passing of the torch match. As I said, Will Ospreay is just an amazing talent. You're seeing it when he goes against Omega. Insanely good. And he's a free agent very soon, if not already. And so, it's going to be really, really interesting. Really, really interesting. To see if he decides to either stay with New Japan now and re-sign, or if he's going to sign with AEW. And there's rumours going around that he may sign with AEW. So we will see. We will see where.
There's rumours going around that Edge may come to AEW too, but we'll see.
Well, before we get on to the last two matches, there was a certain someone that was shown in the crowd. Certain someone formerly. Now known as Monet. You would have seen her up in the crowd. Snoop Dogg's cousin. She was up in the crowd, and formerly known as Sasha Banks to WWE folk. I believe she was there because she's on the verge, and they've been talking. It's already been put out there that her and Tony have been talking. That she is possibly signing with AEW. And I have a feeling she is, because I don't feel that they would have shown her and made a deal out of it if she wasn't.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah, because the camera guy or somebody had to know she was there to go get a shot of that. Go get
it. Yeah, indeed. Yes, Okada, that's right. Yeah, that's who I was talking about, the Rainmaker brother. And he'll be he's going to do Bound for Glory for Impact Wrestling. That's already been announced. But even if he signs with AEW, Tony, as we know, Tony's, he's okay with them, wrestling for other companies too.
Yep.
Yeah, he does. He does. And he likes living in England. He doesn't want to live stateside. I know that, which would make it hard. He has mentioned that too. But yeah. Yes, she does. She's still recovering from her leg injury too, Yobi. Yeah, you're not wrong. That's where she injured herself, and they had to change the outcome of the match, and they had Willow win the belt. Yeah. Of course, the second last match I thought was a great little no holds bars match. I touched on it earlier. I loved the respect from the House of Black as they came out and they dimmed the whole lights, and they had the Firefly. Everyone had their phone out for Bray. Even though he never wrestled for AEW, but it was a great trios match. The thing I didn't see coming, again, there was another little surprise here. I didn't see Billy Gunn and the Acclaimed beating them for the trios. I thought it was going to be a good match, and I thought, House of Black's probably going to come out on top again. But to my surprise, it went the other way, which I'm happy about. It. Yeah. It does play into the story. They were trying to do everything. Billy, they in the last match with these two trios teams, as we know, Billy left his boots in the ring, and then the House of Black the following week chucked him in the garbage bin, and that kind of played into it, and the Acclaimed were real sad, and they were trying to convince Billy to come back and said, look, we know we didn't get here to the Trios Championship last time, but if you come back, we will get you back on top of the, sort of tag team mountain. This is a Trios tag team, obviously, and they did it. And we didn't see the usual daddy ass last night. He brought back the whole badass Billy Gunn from back in the DX days, which was cool to see. He's another guy. I mean, the guy I'm pretty sure is obviously well in his 50s at the very least, and he can still go and still looks good. Like the man has just kept himself in phenomenal shape. Compared to his bloody former tag team partner who blew up like a hot air balloon. Yeah, Road Dog.
Tell us what you really think. Yeah, Tell us what you really think. Yeah,
Road Dog, man, I remember being skinny as a stick, and now I see him now, and he looks like he's about to have quadruplets.
Well, that's what happens when you build up all that muscle and then you let it all go.
Yeah.
And it just,
But, no, this was a good match. I thought it played out well, and it was a great little sort of, it wasn't a, go to the toilet break match, but just sort of like bring that crowd back down from the Ospreay-Jericho match before the main event, because you want to give that crowd the break before the main event. And I thought it did its job, and the crowd was still into it, of course. And, again, as I said, this was another good match. There wasn't a bad match on this card. And then we got to the main event, which I think, again, and I said it last week, it was going to be the match of the night. I still think it was the number one. There was plenty of great matches on this card, but this was definitely, for me, from the match itself to the damn storytelling, was unbelievable, bro. Unbelievable. The only thing I didn't see coming was I didn't think that I was going to be seeing MJF walk out as the champion. I don't think any of us did. We all picked that. We believed. We all said that it was going to be a double turn. We didn't get that either.
Yeah.
And we thought that they were going to capitalize, and Cole was going. But no, they've gone the route that they did. I know there was a few teasers there, and Roddy Strong came out and was trying to get Cole to hit him with the belt and stuff like that. And even after the match, like, what went down there. Oh, this was all about that bell. Oh, I'm stupid, and MJF turned his back and said, "Come on, hit me." And I don't really know where they're going to go really with this story. Obviously, he's got something in mind, but the storytelling, I think, is great and on the level as a Bloodline storyline.
I also think that because they're doing back-to-back pay-per-views, a lot of these storylines could twist just next week.
Yeah. I still expect the turn. Like, I still think...
Yeah.
Well, Max is pretty much now a babyface now, you could say. He's no longer really... He's like that tweener babyface where he still acts like a heel, but the crowd loves him and he loves the crowd. And I think Adam Cole... I get this feeling that they are still going to do the turn, and he's going to go and team back up with his former Ring of Honor friends, Roderick Strong and the Kingdom, the Mike Bennett and Matt Taven. I think, I don't know, maybe this leads to, say, MJF and Cole defending the Ring of Honor tag titles against Taven and Bennett, and that's where the turn will happen, and he'll help them beat them so they can become the Ring of Honor tag champs. But this match, what did you think of this match itself? Did you think it was the match of the night?
Well, I actually thought some of the early matches we talked about were better for me, but I enjoyed this match nonetheless. There were no bad matches this weekend.
Right.
There were, there might have been a weak part of a match or something where I kind of went, okay, let's move on, But I can't honestly say that I did not like a match. I did not. I'm trying not to double negative myself. There's not one match that I can say I didn't like that. That was boring.
No. That's
every one of the matches brought something to the ring, and they were fun to watch.
Yes.
Every single one of them.
Yes.
And the storytelling was dead on all night.
It was, man. Yeah.
Not one of them fell flat for me. Not,
No,
Now, to be fair, I didn't watch. Sadly, I didn't watch the pre-show stuff. I guess I should have, given what happened. But
top to bottom, this was a stellar pay-per-view. In my opinion, the pay-per-view of the year so far. It really was. It lived up to all the hype. They all put on a fantastic show. Everybody involved in every single match. As I said, the matches ranged from good to brilliant. There was not a bad match. There was not a match on this card that you go, oh yeah, that was my toilet break. They were all
and I called it last week on this show. I said, given the recent history they've had, including last Wednesday's show and the previous pay-per-view, their cards have been solid.
Yeah,
really solid.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I hope they continue the momentum that they've built from this. I really do. Because All Out, even in Chicago, should be, just as big. I know it's not as big a stadium, but they should sell it out. And top to bottom, it should be another stellar card. No, hey, I'm going to go to the toilet for this, match. Storytelling, I think, is slowly getting better. Definitely, as I said, with the MJF Cole storyline, that's one of the best storylines in wrestling. But they pulled out all the stops. I was so happy for all the both the females and the males who were on this card, because a lot of them, this was their first massive event. A lot of these guys and girls have wrestled on the indie scene, so they're used to smaller crowds. There was a few people on there that are used to the bigger crowd. Anybody that's wrestled on some of the big events for New Japan. Obviously, you had a few ex-WWE guys that are used to some bigger crowds, especially like Moxley. He's wrestled at a WrestleMania and stuff like that. See, there was some people, but, you had guys, as I mentioned, Samoa Joe had never been really in front of a crowd this size. Hook and Jack Perry never been in front of a crowd this size. MJF hasn't been in front of a crowd this size. Adam Cole hasn't been in a crowd this size because he's wrestled mainly on the indie scene. And when he was with WWE, he was used to wrestling, again, as I like to say, NXT is indie-sized crowds. It's not the big crowds like a SummerSlam type crowd and stuff like that.
And some of the dark matches and stuff that they do that never get, that you never see.
Yeah. But this.
By the way, I was going to mention I was watching some old some WrestleManias a few weeks ago and things like that.
Right.
And lo and behold, there was a very young Perry, long before he was Jungle Boy with his daddy.
Yeah.
Because they point out that Dad's in the crowd, and there, if you really know what you're looking at, there's little Jack standing right next to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. But
what the future holds,
Exactly, man. Exactly. I mean, it's just like freaking MJF back in the day on the Rosie O'Donnell show. Yeah. Cute little kid, and then look at him. And he said on that show he was going to be a wrestler at that age. I think he was only six, somewhere between 6 to 8 at the time. He was a very young little kid on the Rosie O'Donnell show. And he had that little charisma that he's got all the way back then, and but man, yeah, he's come along leaps and bounds. I'm glad he's still the champion. I'm interested, and I'm invested in this storyline between him and Cole. I'm interested to see where they go next with it. For me, it's topped the Bloodline storyline now. The Bloodline storyline's now on the decline, hence why they're pretty much putting it on the back burner for the moment, because it's been going for 3 years. It was, the best storyline going, but I think now the best storyline going currently in wrestling is this storyline. And I'm really invested in it, so I'm intrigued to see where they go from here. I'm still expecting that turn by Adam Cole. But again, before we move on, hats off to everybody involved. Hats off to Tony. They did it. Amazing. Again, they announced, as I said, that they'll be back next year. Same place, same time, same pay-per-view, which I think works for them. And, tremendous show. It was a pay-per-view of the year so far. I thought it was even better than this year's WrestleMania. Yep. It was that good. And this year's, as we know with WrestleMania, it's a 2-day show. And I thought the same with New Japan's Wrestle Kingdom. I thought it was better than that. Like, this was top to bottom, amazing show. So hats off to everybody involved. And on top,
also real quick, I want to say hats off to them because the backstage drama did not affect the show.
No, which was good.
Yeah.
Which we're about to get into after I touch on this. Another announcement that was made at the media scrum afterwards. AEW's created a new pay-per-view, which will be taking place on October 1 in Seattle, and it's going to be called Wrestle Dream. So AEW President Tony Khan announced a new pay-per-view for his promotion. It's called Wrestle Dream. He revealed it again during the post-media scrum from All In. And it's happening on October 1. And what's significant about October 1 is that is the date that Antonio Inoki, the great New Japan Pro Wrestling legend, passed away on that date last year. So it's in honor of Inoki. It's going to be held, of course, as I mentioned, the 1 year anniversary of the great wrestling legend's passing. He was, anybody that followed or knows Inoki's career, he was one of wrestling's greatest dreamers. So it's very fitting that they're calling it Wrestle Dream. And he's also hopeful, because it's being done in honor of him, that he will get some New Japan stars in for it. And it was a great little addition. Otherwise, after All Out, if they didn't add this too, there was nothing for AEW pay-per-view wise until November, which is Full Gear. So this just adds another one, and TNT had been screaming at him to add some more premium events. And here's another one to the card.
Of course they have.
Yeah.
And let me just say, because I was thinking about that as soon as you said that, I'm like, I don't want them to do what WWF has done, and that's over inundate us with pay-per-views.
No,
sometimes
exactly.
It can become too much.
And
the network wants you to try to make money, but you can
yeah. My Paul Wyatt.
Sometimes too much just kills it,
The former Big Show had a little to say too after Wembley Stadium. Obviously, having worked closely with Vince McMahon for many years, White's uniquely qualified to comment on the chairman's reaction. And I quote, Paul White said, "Oh, well, I think Vince is pissed. I think he's absolutely pissed, but he's pissed in a good way. Vince is the type that loves competition. He likes that challenge. Vince is very, very much animalistic, jungle-type mentality. He's a guy that thrives on competition and thrives on doing new things, thrives on being the best in his mind at what he does. So when competition steps up, which we've stepped up here today, that fires Vince up more than anything. The worst thing that can happen to Vince is to be bored, monotonous, you know. If he's got competition, it fires him up to be better, which is a win for the fans because they'll get a better product. And it's good for us because we produce a better product to compete against him. And I think we've done that here today. I think Vince would have been watching that and he would have been pissed, exactly what Paul White said. He would have been like, God damn, they did it. I didn't think they were going to do it, but God damn, they've done it. They pulled it off.
Yeah. Now, at the same time, I saw an article that, you know, Vince and his family don't wield as much power as they used to over there because of the, you know, the buyout.
The sale, and Triple H has lost a little
the sale,
bit of power. Yep, you're not wrong.
So it's going to be interesting to see how that works out as well.
Exactly. So there wasn't, of course, couldn't have a absolutely fantastic pay-per-view without some controversy. And I've got a bit of notes here before I'll let Paul go off on it. So there's been more backstage details that have come out. For those that tune into the event know that CM Punk and Jack Perry got into an altercation backstage just before the main show was set to start. So details have been revealed about the situation between Punk and Perry that happened right before the main show. PW Insider has confirmed where the altercation took place. According to PW Insider, it was near the staging area just behind the curtain, known as the gorilla position. Reportedly, there was shoving between the two, and Punk was said to have either punched or tried to choke out Perry. Not surprisingly, the incident upset some talent backstage because they feared that the altercation would end up upstaging the pay-per-view itself. As reported earlier, Perry was told that he had to leave immediately. He had to leave Wembley Stadium. And PW Insider has reported that Punk left an hour after his match against Samoa Joe. Meanwhile, Fightful Select has been told that other accounts claim that it was Punk who started things and pie-faced Perry. PW Torch reports that after getting Perry's face, Punk also allegedly grabbed Perry in a face lock before things were broken up. Other little tidbits that have come out. So there's different stories, but then there's a lot of wrestlers backstage that are leaning one way, and that way is Jack Perry came at CM Punk backstage, and which led to the altercation. So again, as I just mentioned, they got into a physical altercation, and initial reports stated that Perry and Punk came to blows over Perry saying on live TV, as everybody who watched the pre-show, "It's real grass, cry me a river," which was a shot at Punk during his match with Hook. Fightful Select is now reporting that one side of the story claims Perry, when he got backstage, went straight up to Punk, so approached Punk backstage and stepped right in his face and bumped the veteran. Punk allegedly then pushed Perry after it was described as Perry came at Punk and got choked out. Fightful is unsure if or how the choking came about or who ultimately broke things up. This is only one side of the story, and more details are still expected to emerge over the next few days. Perry and Punk previously had words at a collision taping this summer after Perry wanted to use real glass in a backstage segment. Punk intervened and had the spot completely scrapped due to it being lazy and a safety hazard, which did not sit well with the former FTW champion. Perry was described as having a tantrum of sorts, like a child, after Punk said that Collision wouldn't have segments of that sort or the like. A lot of wrestlers backstage said that Jack Perry instigated this. It's also come out that CM Punk reportedly threatened to quit AEW following the incident. So obviously this is now 1 year after the infamous brawl out incident that happened at last year's All Out. news has been breaking everywhere. And both Punk and Jack Perry will not be at All Out. They've both been suspended. So there was a whole thought process backstage. Is it future or is it past? Where are we at here? They exchanged words, and Perry got right in Punk's face, and then it just escalated. PW Torch is also putting that in the heat of the moment. After the altercation took place, Punk threatened to quit AEW over his numerous frustrations with the locker room. There was reportedly worry, extreme worry at that they would have to delay Punk's opening match against Joe after the altercation, which seemingly took place at the end of the 0-hour pre-show. In the end, Punk and Joe's match went on as scheduled and without any apparent incident. According to many other reports, many backstage see Jack Perry as more at fault in this situation with Punk compared to last year's All Out, as Perry called out his history with Punk during Perry's match with Hook. Punk and Perry were both sent home from Wembley during the show. It all came down to the whole glass thing. So there's still conflicting reports on the nature again, though many seem to point to Perry instigating and Punk escalating, leading to the altercation becoming physical. In this case, now I didn't agree with anything of anybody involved of what went down at All Out last year, right? But yeah, you're right. He acted like a child. In this case, I don't think Punk's at fault. He was looking out for Jack, obviously. He wanted Jack to use that plexiglass, that WWE's used before, because he was worried using real glass. Well, I mean, what happens if a big shard breaks and it goes straight through you? I could understand the worry there. And Jack's acted like a spoiled brat. He called, there's also reports going around that when they were having their altercation, he called Punk a pussy and, oh, you're a pussy because you don't want to use real glass. No, at the end of the day, you're there to put on a show. This is not a real sport. This is not boxing or UFC where it could be over a minute. You're out there to try and protect each other, right? Regardless that you're two foes, story-wise. And it just seems that Jack Perry got his knickers in a knot. Now, before I let you go here, which I know you're going to go off on one particular person, Tony Khan. Tony Khan needs to step the F up. We said it the other week. Stop trying to be like one of those parents, and I'm a parent so I can speak on this. Stop trying to be like one of those parents that try to be friends with their children instead of being the authority figure. Because you see how those children end up turning out, and then you don't have no control. He's got no control. This is quite clear. Tony Khan has no control. I don't think enough people, I won't say everybody, but I don't think enough people, and this is including backstage people as well as talent, respect him enough as an authority figure. Because he hasn't garnered that respect, because he hasn't enforced that this is my company, I'm your boss, I sign your paychecks, you're going to do what I say and how, I know Vince comes across, and I've said this the other week, Vince comes across as an arsehole, but the one damn thing, this shit wouldn't be happening in WWE because Vince wouldn't have it, right? Triple H also, because he's learnt that from Vince, wouldn't have it. Yes, Triple H isn't, or sorts stuff out and does things different to Vince in the sense that, he doesn't come across as an arsehole like Vince. Vince just knows one way.
Right.
But what he has learnt from Vince is, you got to cut the problems out and stop issues before they escalate. Tony Khan's just letting this crap go because he wants to try and be friends with, and he wants to try and appease everybody. So he's trying to appease the elite. He's trying to appease Punk. He's trying to appease this person, that person. You can't do that. You need to be more involved, and I don't think he is. They tried to get more out of him at the scrum. He didn't really want to talk about it. Well, you're going to have to talk about it.
But I will say I'm impressed that he talked about it at all.
No, yeah. But you're going to have to talk about it because it's known. All the reports got out there, and once the sites are all talking about it, you got to talk about it, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do about that, and you need to come across as a strong leader. Right now, you're coming across as weak. I mean, right now, and we touched on this. I think the issue, at least when it comes to Punky, you've given him so much power with frickin' Collision that I think it's gone to his head and he thinks he can do and he can say anything he wants, right? Again, I will state before you go, just with this particular situation, however, I do think Punk was in the right because he was just looking out.
Well, I don't know. Well, okay, I'm going to speak. I think they were both in the wrong. Jack Perry for what he said during a match, or and Punk for the way he reacted afterwards. Because if Punk should have just let it go. I'll deal with this shit later. We'll have a meeting or whatever.
Yeah.
But for him to escalate it to physical, so he's at fault there as well.
Yeah.
If it's true that they're both suspended, good, because that's the way it should be. I used to work at a school. Mutual combat. I don't care who started the fight. You're both going home. It's just true. That's the way it works. Because unless we were there the whole time, we don't know who started the fight or who said what to who that instigated it. Same with Xbox enforcement. That's why everybody gets in trouble. It's like. So, they're both at fault. Jack should have kept his mouth shut. I don't know why Jack thought he had to bring that up at the end of that match.
No. And I don't know what, like I agree with Yobi. I don't understand, you're going to crack the shits over someone giving a crap about your health. You're only a young guy in this sport, so you got many, 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 many years ahead of you. And Punk's just looking out for you. Using real glass...
Here's the other thing too. Maybe after he did that on that Saturday night, they should have had a meeting and said, "Here's why I said you shouldn't do that."
Yeah.
After everybody calmed down.
The only thing
because I don't want you to get hurt.
Yep.
It sounds like communication in the back room over there is the whole problem.
And
all of these problems they've been having.
Look, I'm saying that Perry's probably, and from most of the accounts I've read about, Perry is more at fault here. Punk should have been that leader though and tried to de-escalate instead of escalate, obviously.
Right.
Look, you want to push him away from your personal space, I get that. Heck, if you want to slap the taste out of his mouth for being a disrespectful little punk, I get that. No need to choke the poor guy out and stuff like that. You should have been the leader and say, hey, go away. Get out of my space. You don't want to take my advice, fine. But, all I'm trying to do is help you out. Go and sook somewhere. Go and cry to Tony. Right? He's the boss. Go and have a sook to him. Yep. Right? Punk should have been...
And here's also where Tony should step in and go, okay, I want to have a meeting with you and you together and we're going to hash this out. See, that's part of Tony's job too.
Yeah.
Is Tony needs to start, playing, not playing favorites, but at least saying, okay, we're going to sit down and have a talk.
Look, from what we know so far, since Punk's come back, he has got a favorite.
Oh yeah, well we know.
Punk's his favorite because if he wasn't, why? Basically, Punk runs Collision. Tony doesn't run Collision. Yeah. Punk runs Collision, and I don't think that's a great idea. Look,
no, you shouldn't. You shouldn't let your wrestlers run the show like that.
No.
That.
And that's quite evident that he has got a lot of power there. He's sending people home and telling people that they can't turn up and, saying, well, in this case, like it was mentioned, hey, we're not doing this on Collision. You want to do this, go to Dynamite, I suppose, in a sense, go do it over there or do it on Rampart. You're not doing this on Collision, right? But, look, it's funny because you can give Punk credit for being a leader in the sense of looking out for the younger talent. You got a whole career ahead of you. You don't want to be messing yourself up here. And his arm got lacerated pretty badly last night anyway when he got dumped onto the windshield, right?
Yeah.
And Punk probably thought using real glass, because of the way real glass can break when you're landing on it, things could go horribly, horribly wrong compared to using that plexiglass, right? Which WWE's been known to use, and it's a lot safer to use. So he was trying to look out for him. I get that.
No, but I get that too. But there's the other side of it. You have to learn to communicate that better than just going, no.
But then I come back
what do you mean, no?
I find it now really, really weird. And if Tony's not catching on to this, then he's a dumbass. Might be brilliant in some ways, but he's a dumbass in this point I'm going to make. Where there's drama, there seems to be a Punk. You're right in the middle of it.
Oh yeah, I was going to point that out too. Punk is the fuse, in all this dynamite, literally.
This is where Punk needs to be better. I reckon Perry knew, because they were all there for that All Out, that CM Punk's got a short fuse. That's why he antagonised and instigated. He knew he was going to get Punk to bite, and Punk took the damn bait and freaking bite. He should be better than that. You've been in the business for how long, and you're letting a young guy like him get to you like that? Like, I would have been doing like a taker, like, get out of my face. You don't want to listen to just get out of my face. I don't want to talk to you. You don't want to listen to me.
Or wouldn't even talk to him,
Exactly.
When he came back to the gorilla area, just stand back out of the way, or
I would have said something along the lines like, I'm only trying to help you out. You know what? Go and do whatever the hell you want to do. But when you get a big shard of freaking glass that's gone straight through your freaking side and maybe punctures one of your fucking lungs, don't come to me and cry about it. Because I did warn you.
But what I'm saying is even last night wouldn't have been the time for that. Last night would have been the time to, we'll talk about this later or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
And
true
just
too.
Do your thing.
But Perry,
there's no reason to blow up.
Perry needs to take that chip off his shoulder down a few notches, because, dude, you ain't there yet, bro. You ain't there yet. Like, you're a talented guy. I think he needs to have a hell of a lot more improvement on the microphone. But in the ring, he's a talented kid. But you're not on the Darby Allin or MJF level yet. You know what I mean?
No.
So, like, don't be getting that chirpy with a vet. Doesn't matter who the vet is, but, obviously he chose the wrong vet, because Punk has got a short fuse and he will react. And obviously he did. But Tony Khan, man, look, he does a lot of great things, and like we say all the time, we appreciate that he's created an alternative. It makes WWE do better. WWE pushes them to do better, and It's great to have that big alternative that's slowly climbing up to be on WWE's level, which we haven't seen since WCW days, and that's great. But we've pointed out many times a few things where he needs to improve. Storytelling obviously being one of them. Get some writers and that. Take a little bit of pressure off himself. But he needs to start being that authority thing. Act like the boss. Don't act like the friend. Don't try and please everyone, because you're not going to be able to please everyone. You have to have that asshole in you a little bit. Like Vince, you don't have to be total full-blown dick about things, but you need...
No, but you've got to be firm. But you've got to be firm and let them know that...
have a backbone. Have some... As I said, make it known that you run the show. That it's you that they have to deal with. Like, oh, okay, if we muck up, we're going to be in trouble with Tony, and there could be some... Like, I don't think there's anyone backstage that's freaking worried about that. I'm actually surprised that it's come out that he's actually suspended Punk. I'm shocked. And it hasn't come out how long they're both suspended for, just that they're both suspended, apparently. But that's still not enough.
But,
I mean, you've got situations
but to me, that may show that he is treating it fairly, that they're both getting suspended.
Yeah, which is good.
Jack, you're suspended, and Punk, go on your way. And no, it's
we said this last week. He needs to stay more on top of this, because if he doesn't, it's going to get more out of control, and it's going to get worse. For starters, you need to fix the original situation. You need to get him and the freaking Elite to sort their shit out, instead of trying to keep him set, because it's not going to work. It's not going to continue to work, right? And say, if you can't, right, well, guess what? These guys were here first. I'm going to have to let you go.
You know what's funny? And even when I was working in schools, we sometimes, because we know especially two boys wanted to fight or whatever, at some point it becomes, fuck, just let them fight.
Yeah.
They'll get it out of their system.
Well, that's the other thing I'd say. I would say too. They're grown men. I'd say, right, if you can't talk it out, right, go and beat the crap out of each other and get it out of your system. Shake hands afterwards. Yeah. You don't have to send each other Christmas cards. Do what FTR and the Young Bucks are doing. At least have that respect. Hey, don't have to be friends. Don't have to go backstage and have a drink together. We just have to respect each other enough to look after each other while we're out in that ring, and that's it, right?
And that's most boys, after they get into a fight, they end up being friends later because they do get that mutual respect for each other. It's like
exactly. You're not wrong, Yobi.
That's what I've been saying. I said that last week as well.
This is my opinion on it. Is I don't care that he is still a name and he puts asses in seats. I'll take the little bit of a hit that it will initially come with, and I would rip up his fucking contract if, excuse the language, but I would rip it up if this is going to continue, because it's being a problem. He is at the center of freaking most of the drama since they've signed him. And, whether he's in the wrong or they're in the right, either way, right, he seems to have a very quick fuse and escalate situation instead of being that veteran and de-escalating, right? If this is going to continue, look, take the hit initially. Yeah, right, he still puts asses in seats. Yes, people still come up, right? But outside Chicago,
I was going to say, I don't think he put all those asses in Wembley. I think it would have been fine even if he wasn't there.
No, not for that. But that's why I'm saying outside of Chicago, you're going to be fine, right?
Yeah.
I thought one of the biggest pops last night was for Kenny Omega. That crowd went
Kenny
nuts.
Omega got a serious.
that he got a serious pop, right? You've got guys on that roster. Look at the way they sung to Jericho's song.
Yeah.
Right? Look at the way, I mean, granted, yes, they were in her home country, but, and she's probably one of the most popular females out there, but Saraya got a heck of a reaction, right? Britt Baker's always getting a heck of a reaction from all crowds. They all do the DMD thing with it, right? Right. People are loving and eating up Adam Cole and MJF. You've got plenty of people on that roster that you don't need a CM Punk. You don't. He, for some reason, thinks that he does because, he's a merchandise man. So is Adam Cole and MJF. Their stuff is selling like freaking hotcakes, right? MJF is your future.
But this may sound weird, but the other side has to look at is if he gets him out of the way, he gives him room for those others to grow.
Yes, I personally think this is my personal opinion because he is again one of my favorite. You need to build that company around MJF. He should be the face of your company. He is your present and he is your future, right? And then him and the Darby Allin, like, I won't say Orange Cassidy because probably a lot of people don't realise this. He's actually closer to 40 than he is anything else. He's been around a minute.
Wow.
It tripped me out when I seen his age.
Wow, he's aging well for a ginger.
But MJF and Darby are your future. But MJF also because he's the champ. He is that main event guy now. And Darby's on the verge of that, but I would build the company around your young guy. Kenny would be all for that. Kenny Omega is all about, making sure that the company's going to be in good hands when he's gone. Like, Kenny Omega's, I think, about to turn 40 soon himself. Still in phenomenal shape, yes. Still going to be wrestling at least for the next 5 years, easily, yes. But after he's gone, you're going to need that face. That's why I think Maxwell Jacob Freeman is your face of that company going for. He's one of the youngest on that male roster. And I think you need to build the company around him. So usually that's what a company does. They look at what WWE did with the young John Cena, built around him, and he became the face and everything. That's what they need to do with MJF. Right, and his contract, he's made it well aware, his contract is up January 1st, 2024. So, if I was Tony, I would be giving that young man the whole damn world on the platter to get him signed for a very lucrative long-term contract because he is, as I said, the present, but he's also the future. And I would be, I'll put it this way, if I was Tony, I'd be more concerned about keeping him and keeping him happy than worrying about keeping Punk happy, who's at the tail end of his career.
And he's got 4 months to figure it out too. And basically, if he's willing to drop money for things like, Queen songs and 50 Cent songs, then Hey, throw some money at Punk. He'll stay. You know.
You mean MJF? Yeah, MJF. Yeah.
MJF, rather. Excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah, he does, because if he doesn't treat this situation right, and he loses MJF to the WWE, that's going to be the first nail in AEW's coffin. That's just my opinion, because I don't think you can afford to lose a young talent like him, who should be built as your face of the company for the next 20 fucking years. Right?
Okay, so CM Punk is 44, so that gives you an idea.
Yeah, exactly, right?
So he's definitely at the tail end, yeah.
Yeah, and MJF is only 27, right?
28 years old, 28.
So build the company around him.
Yep.
Right? No, he's 27. He had his 27th birthday in March.
No, March 1996, according to the internet things here. Makes him 28.
Oh, 28. So. Yeah, okay, so 28, yeah. But yeah, you, again, face of the company for the next 10, 15 years, 20 years even, if he keeps in great shape. This is just ridiculous. I wouldn't even be worried about CM Punk. Kenny Omega, like you said, Yobi, 40 in October, my birthday month. The man's in phenomenal shape. He's a lot better shape than Punk. I'd be more worried about, which they've got him locked down already. They just re-signed, but I'd be more worried about keeping him happy and keeping him in the company, because he's still got a lot to give, even though he's 40 compared to Punk, right? I mean, and I'm not going to hide, I was a CM Punk fan back in the day, but now he's just become this old, whiny old bastard that whines more than a freaking child for his own way. It's getting ridiculous. And you're meant to be,
and on the other side of that, he's let his fame go to his head.
Yeah, you're a veteran. You're meant to be one of the locker room leaders that people look up to. Well, how are they going to look up to you when you seem to be at the center of an attention? Center of things happening. Brawls and drama, and you seem to be more known to escalate instead of de-escalate. That's not good. I know, as I said, and Yobi touched on it earlier. Yeah, he's got his fans there, FTR and a few other people, but there's more people backstage that don't like him and don't want him there than there is people that do want him around. So
yep, and the last thing that Tony wants to happen is all of a sudden people are going to be refusing to do Saturday nights because they're like,
What I want to see from Tony, right, while Punk's on this suspension, 1, take the whole power off him. AEW is your baby, so Collision is one of your shows, right? Take that power away. He doesn't need it. It's bad, right? Listen to Bischoff. He did that with Hogan back in the day. Bad juju, right? You don't give it, right? So
get somebody a little more level-headed back there.
Take the power off of him. Mm-hmm. If he cracks the shits and says, "I quit," let him go. I know it might be difficult. You might be sitting, I'm going to lose out. Don't worry about it. Might take a small little hit, but don't worry about it. Let him go, right? Yep. The other thing I would put in and tell him before he comes back, when you come back, you've already had 2 strikes. You get involved in any more BS, and I will sit here and I'll tear your contract up in your face, and you're gone. That's how firm he needs to be, right? This is not the way a veteran should be acting. You've been involved in 2 incidents now, even regardless if the second incident you didn't start or wasn't your fault, whatever. But 2 incidences, which is causing problems backstage and making people feel uncomfortable. If you are involved, you've already had 2 strikes. If you're involved in 1 more, 3 strikes, you're out of here. Goodbye. That's how firm I'll be, because that's exactly what Vince would do. And Vince wouldn't have even allowed this to get past the first time, like Yobi mentioned earlier, right? But that's what I would do. I would sit down Punk and say, you're not having the power anymore in Collision of who can come there, who can't. You're going to be working backstage or dealing backstage. If you don't like someone, don't look in their direction. Don't have to communicate with them, right? But you're going to be, if I want the Young Bucks on the Collision, they're going to be there. right? We'll just put you at opposite ends backstage. You can be at that end of the backstage. They can be at this, right? Easy done, right? That's easy done. They do that stuff in WWE, right? But you're going to have to deal with them being there. You don't want Matt Hardy, well, tough shit, he's going to be there because I got him booked. I'm the boss. I say it like it is. You're not the boss. You don't write the paychecks. Yep. That's how Tony needs to be with him. And I know,
because by limiting who can be at what show, you're limiting what you can do, and that's just not a good way to run things.
And I know Punk's going to not like that. Well, tough crap, tough shit. Deal with it. You're just a talent. It's like, okay, Punk, you can go do whatever it is you're going to do. It's not going to be with us, and it's not going to be with WWE. Figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, I'm telling you now, if he thinks for 1 second that WWE will take him back if he gets let go by it, no. If you either quit or they tear up your contract for it, you're done. That's it. End of wrestling career. Goodbye. Oh, I mean,
the other thing I would make very
wrestle in pubs and stuff like that, but that's about it.
The other part I would make clear is if he decided to pull this no-show shit and all that crap, then you hold him in breach of contract. Okay, we're going to go to court.
Yep.
Yeah.
Again, that's the firmness that we need to see from Tony.
Yep.
And I hope we do, because surely he's got to be seeing what this is causing. And again, I was glad that the show continued, but it has taken a little bit, I won't say fully, but it has taken a little bit away from such a extravaganza that they put on, such a monumental event for them. As again, they broke records, set records. This was great for their company. This is great momentum build to continue heading in the right direction. You don't need this extra shit. That's taking up the news. People should be just strictly talking about how good that pay-per-view yesterday was, how good it was to see them fill Wembley and all the good stuff. They shouldn't be. We're talking about that, but we're also talking about this incident.
Yep. And I'm wondering how much of. Remember, it said he wasn't sent home till after an hour after his match.
Yeah.
I wonder how much of that hour was spent whining to Khan trying to make his case.
Oh yeah, exactly. He would have been. Come on, Tony. It's me, bro. Nah. Look, at the end of the day, Tony, you just need to realise that he's being a bit of a cancer. A bit of a cancer.
With me, right after the match, I would have walked back there and said, "You're leaving now. We'll talk about it later."
Yeah, exactly.
No discussion. No nothing.
You sent Jack Perry home straight away. You could have sent Punk home straight away. Go take your shower and get the security will take you out.
Yep, and we'll talk about it later. Boom, end, done.
Things need to change. Tony needs to step the hell up and start being that boss. And again, you don't want to be like Vince. That's fine. Be like Triple H. Triple H wouldn't have put up with this nonsense either. Plain and simple. So, but moving on to the final topic. As I said, we've got a quick turnaround this weekend for AEW as well. We know WWE's got their event as well, but we've got All Out, which coincides with All In. As I said, you go all in or you go all out on a casino table. 5 matches have been confirmed so far for this event. So we've got so far, and obviously there'll probably definitely more added via Dynamite and Collision this week. But we've got the AEW TNT Championship, which I've just loved. I thought it's been funny. We know Luchasaurus is the champ, but Christian would have you believe otherwise.
Right.
Again, going up against Darby Allin, which I think should be a fantastic match. Who you got in this match? I've actually got Darby. I think he might actually.
I was going to say I've got Darby for this match.
Yeah, I think Darby's going to win this. I mean, I would have thought differently if Christian was legitimately the actual champion. I may have gone, okay, they might keep the heel as the champion. But Luchasaurus, I've never really been into Luchasaurus, and yeah,
I mean either. I think I can't take him seriously when he's doing the table stuff.
No,
I'm sorry, I can't take a guy wearing a mask doing commentation. No. Seriously, I just can't do it. I look at that and go, no, just no.
Exactly. Then we've also got Miro taking on Powerhouse Hobbs. Now, this, I think, should actually be a really, really good match of two immovable objects. To put it simply. I don't know about yourself. I'll get your little thoughts and your little speculation on who you think might come out. I can't pick a damn winner here. This is one of those matches again, like the Young Bucks FTR, where I'm a bit stumped. It's a match that could really go either way. Because in reality, both of them could use the victory to get some momentum going. So it's interesting. What about yourself? Have you actually?
I can't pick, but like you said, it's two immovable objects are going to be bouncing off of each other.
Yeah,
there's going to be a lot of sweat and pain involved, but
oh yeah, there's going to be some hard hitting and some big moves, I think. But yeah, it should be a really good match. Both these guys as powerhouse wrestlers are two of the best. And again, I think they'll put on a hell of a show. I just hope they get significant time to show that off.
Like I said, I didn't realize that was going to be that it was going to be back-to-back pay-per-views, and it's going right, the same weekend as the next WWE one.
Yeah.
Talk about pressure, because you just put on a hell of a show. You're going to probably put on another hell of a show. And then WWE is going to be that Sunday as well. Yeah. Holy shit, dude! Seriously.
Oh no, it's going to be another full-on weekend.
And I think this match is going to be, if the previous is any indication, we're going to see some hot stuff this weekend. This match is going to be right up there. Yeah. Lots of hard hitting, lots of. I think they're going to give it all.
Another match that's been announced too is the other women's championship will be on the line this time around. The AEW TBS championship, with Statlander taking on and defending her title against Ruby Soho. I actually think, again, this is going to be another great match. Both these women can really go in the ring, and I don't know if it'll be as good as the Fatal 4-Way match that we just witnessed at All In, but I still expect it to be a great one-on-one match.
Yeah,
I'm expecting.
I don't think the title's going to change hands.
No,
they're not going to change both titles.
Put it this way: I'm expecting Statlander to retain. However, I would really like to see Ruby finally get a championship. She's been so close on numerous other occasions. I like Ruby Soho. I think she's extremely talented, and I would love to see her win this. But I'm with you. I don't see Statlander dropping the title just yet. But hey, if they surprise us, it would be nice, and I'd be happy with Ruby getting the win. And maybe they do, with this whole split up now of the Outcasts. Although her and Saraya probably will still get along. It'd be nice to see Saraya with one title and Ruby with another, and maybe lead to title versus title sort of match, But who knows? We'll see what happens there. Another match I am looking forward to, though, on this 5-match card so far we got going on. As I said, knowing AEW with how they like 9-10 match card, we'll get more announced. But the International Championship, Mr. No Days Off, Orange Cassidy, will be taking on, he's first, I think, on Dynamite, I think it is. He's got a verse Penta El Zero Mio, right? So if he gets through that match, then he goes on to take on John Moxley, which that in its own self is going to be a brutal match, because any match with John Moxley in it is freaking insane. It's insane. But I think Orange Cassidy is going to retain both times. I think he'll retain on Dynamite, and then I think he'll retain against Moxley. Like, there's been times throughout this and he's had a long time as that international champion, that I thought he was going to lose it. But no, I think they'll keep the title on him. What about you?
Like I said, I mean, the man doesn't take any days off, but I don't think if he does lose it, it won't be before the pay-per-view, I don't think. Then again, I was surprised that they did switch the title during a pre-show. So you really never know what Tony Khan's going to do.
No, but two titles switched in the pre-show, yeah.
Yeah, it was like, okay. So we're not even going to wait till most of the people are watching. We're going to do it before.
No. So, no, I'm curious, yeah. I'm curious with this. I mean, could I see Jon Moxley, like, if he gets through Penta first on Dynamite and then he takes on John, could I see Jon Moxley winning? I could, but I just, as I said, there's been times I thought someone was going to beat Orange or he was going to drop the title and it didn't come to fruition. I think they're giving him a decent run here, and eventually he's going to have to drop it. Eventually, too, he's going to have to take a break because the man's pretty bloody banged up. That's quite evident. But, no, I think, again, he gets through his match on Dynamite and then he gets through his match against Jon Moxley at the pay-per-view. I think he may hold it until either Wrestle Dream or the final pay-per-view for AEW full gear. I think he drops it at one of those two. But, yeah, interesting because, again, he's had that for a long time. And the only other match so far announced, as I said, we got 2 shows leading up to the pay-per-view in Dynamite and Collision, so there'll be more, obviously, matches announced there. But we got Kenny Omega versus Takeshita. This should be right now, out of the 5 matches that we just ran through, the match of the night. These two are gonna just go off. These two are gonna go off.
As one of our favorite WWE guys would say, that's either going to be a slobber knocker, this one. Yeah.
Yep. And I'm picking my boy Kenny to win because the only way I would have went the other way is if Kenny and his team won at All In. Because they lost, I think Omega gets the win here. And I'd like to see him get a little bit of just desserts on Don Callis because we know Don Callis is going to be out there. So he's like that Paul Heyman type. I'd love to see Kenny maybe fly over the top rope and Takeshita moves and he takes out Callis instead of Takeshita.
and in AEW, it's very likely that the manager could take a shot. Yes.
Yeah. Well, Don definitely. I mean, he's still got a big scar on his freaking head from where they went a bit too hard at him. So, no, this should be a phenomenal match. I'm really looking forward to it, and they've been building this. This is another good slow burn story between Takeshita and Omega. Omega was his teacher with Kota Ibushi back in the DDT days, DDT Pro in Japan, where they were teaching and helping a young Takeshita. So this has been a quite interesting story that's been playing out. And look, the only thing I hope is Don. You know, you could be out there doing the whole Paul Heyman thing, but just don't get involved in this match, please. Like, let these two boys shine, because, you know, we all know Kenny Omega is one of the best in the world. He has been for a long time. Takeshita is a younger guy, but he's climbing up there himself. He's a fantastic talent. Hits hard. And I'm liking this heel side of him as well, and the pairing with Callis. I think it's a good little pairing, and it's taking him to a new level. And so far we've all out getting a good card. I think they're going to find it hard to top All In. I don't think it'll be as great as All In, but I still think it'll be a good pay-per-view nonetheless. They'll have a hot crowd in Chicago, regardless that Punk's not there. Chicago usually always has a hot crowd.
You know, I don't have as much doubt as you, because you remember the Wednesday before All In was wild too. I mean, it was a pay-per-view level card that Wednesday as well.
It was. It was. But, no, it's again going to be a fantastic weekend, chock full of wrestling for wrestling fans out there. We've got 2 pay-per-views. WWE's doing theirs as well, which is Payback, I believe. And they're still building matchups for that as well. So we've, obviously had Raw today, SmackDown to follow. So keep your eye out for AEW's All Out and WWE's Payback this weekend. 6 hours. I think they'll both be running 3 hours each. 6 hours of wrestling there. And before we get into outros, I'll just touch on Impact Wrestling also had a pay-per-view this weekend.
So we're not going to touch on Payback at all?
Hey, no, we'll run through some of the matches for it. Give our predictions.
I have it in front of me. I have the card in front of me.
But yeah, before we do, I just want to touch on Impact. They had their own little pay-per-view this weekend that went sort of unnoticed because of All In, obviously. And yeah, Trinity had another great match. She actually main evented with Deonna Purrazzo, so it was nice to see Impact giving the women some spotlight there. So no, it was great to see. So yes,
I like that. AEW is at All In, and Impact is at your local high school stadium.
Yep,
doing a sellout crowd of 500.
So we got the steel cage match between Becky and Trish. This should be interesting, but I think Becky Lynch is going to come out on top finally in this feud.
I can't remember the last time I've seen a female steel cage match.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, Trish Stratus has never been in one, so there's a first for her. But I'm tipping Becky Lynch to win that.
Yeah.
Yep. We've also got.
Well, we've got Seth Rollins and
Nakamura.
Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yep. Who you got in that?
That's for a championship belt, by the way.
Yes,
most of these are for championships, actually.
Yes.
Which is impressive for a WWE event.
I think Seth retains. That's just my opinion.
I think Seth retains, so I wouldn't mind seeing Nakamura take it. Because I like watching Nakamura. I like watching Nakamura.
Yeah. Then, of course, we got the women's world title on the line between Rhea Ripley and Raquel. I am going Raquel Rodriguez all the way here. She did it.
You think so?
She did it in NXT. No one could beat Rhea in NXT. She was the one to do it. I think she's the one to dethrone Rhea. It's been good seeing Raquel throw Rhea around and kick the crap out of her because no one else could do it. It's going to be a great match.
But is Rhea going to have her backup singers with her as well?
She'll have Dom out there.
Yeah, she'll have Dom.
Yeah. Who are you picking? You think Rhea retains, or do you think Raquel is going to get the win?
I think Rhea retains because Dom or one of the other idiots interferes.
Okay. So we're split on that one. Paul's going Rhea. I'm going Raquel. We got Rey Mysterio defending against the former US champion Austin Theory. I actually think, this is just my opinion, Austin Theory retains via the LWO turning on Rey Mysterio.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I would say Austin Theory retains just because Ray's going to need a break afterwards.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think.
And that's the thing. Ray is a lot older than people realize. If he were to take off that mask, you realize how old Ray really is.
Oh yeah. He's been around a minute. So I think Austin. I think he wins back his championship.
Yeah. Yeah, because I don't think. I like Ray. Ray's still fun to watch at his age. You can see that he's still got some of them moves, but I don't think he can defend his belt very long at that age and, keep taking the
I have this feeling because I think there's like little hints that have been dropped that LWO might turn on because at the end of the day, he was never meant to be the champion. It was meant to be, what's his name? Who Austin took out prior to the match. He was meant to take on Austin, and I think he was meant to. So, because Ray's kind of taken the spot, I just get this feeling. Eventually, they're going to turn on it. I know that much. They're going to turn because the LWO back in the day was always a heel group anyway. So, that's how Eddie ran it. So, maybe that happens here. Then, of course, we get the megastar, LA Knight, against The Miz.
Oh, wait till you watch tonight's. The Miz does a dead-on LA Knight thing, and it's just wild.
LA Knight 100% in this match.
Oh, yeah.
They're building him up. I can't see him losing to The Miz. I think it'll be a good match. Miz always works well with all different styles and all different people. And, it should be interesting. And then, of course, we've got Kevin and Sammy defending their belts in a tag team street fight against Priest and Balor. I think Sammy and Owens retain because I don't think.
Yeah,
Priest,
so do I.
I don't think Priest and Balor are going to get along enough to win it.
No, the way they've been setting it up, those two are at each other's throats. So
yeah, and as I said, I think Priest's going to be broken away from Judgment Day, and Finn's little friend's going to join.
I think both matches that involve Judgment Day, they're both going to lose their thing. I think we are looking toward the end of Judgment Day. We've been saying that for a few weeks now.
Yeah, well, especially if
they're telling,
if Rhea loses her belt. Yeah. But I just don't see. I don't see Finn and Damien winning here. If it was Finn and maybe and McDonough, maybe then I might have swayed the other way. But Finn and Priest, no. That. Yep. So, that's
because remember they've even tonight. I can't think of his name right now. They had the guy who keeps trying to work his way into Judgment Day, being a pain in the ass.
McDonough, yeah.
So I think they're getting ready to make some switches there. I really do.
Yeah. I think Priest gets the boot out. McDonough replaces him. I mean, I read that rumor on the pod last week that's the way it looks like it's going, and eventually
plus,
I think.
Plus, he's still what Damien's still holding the briefcase too, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly. So
that could come into play this weekend as well.
Well, who knows? Maybe maybe Nakamura, or like Seth retains, but Nakamura's got him that messed up, and Priest comes out and cashes. Who knows?
Yeah.
But even regardless, I think one or two things will happen with Priest's cash in. I think he either cashes in and he loses, or he cashes in and he has a very short run because he's just not main event. I see him and view him as a mid-carder for sure, but he is not a main eventer. So if he does get a little run with that title, it's not going to be a long run.
Then the only thing they have on the card is a segment, of course, with Cody on with the Grayson Waller effect, and they usually use the Grayson Waller effect to set up something for the future.
Yeah, Cody. They'll end up starting a feud between the two, but I hope Cody beats the crap out of him.
Don't we all? Yeah.
But no, it's not a bad little card so far.
And then also, apparently, starting after this week, we didn't mention it, is what's his name is Cena is coming back for a 7-week run.
Yeah, interesting. He's going to do the big India show as well.
Yep.
So it's going to be good to see John Cena. Well, it kind of makes sense at the moment with the writer's strike going on. I suppose there's not a lot for him to do right now in Hollywood. So may as well come back and have a little run and do something. So I'm interested to see if he actually comes back and tries to take out Austin Theory, get one back up on him for losing at WrestleMania to him. So it'll be good to see him
I'd like to see... Well, remember him and Grayson had words at the last WrestleMania. Maybe he can smack Grayson around a little bit.
Maybe he comes back and has a shot at Roman Reigns again too. There's a couple people there he's got some issues with.
He can do a lot in 7 weeks. There's there's 14 shows, 14 shows and two pay-per-views because. In September, we actually get 2 pay-per-views, one at the beginning of the month and one at the end. Yes.
So, no, again, looking forward to both pay-per-views, everybody. And, it's going to be a fun-filled weekend. At the moment...
So I'll be playing Starfield while I watch wrestling. I just want everybody to understand that.
I knew you were going to say... Yeah, I'll probably be doing the same thing, man. I'll probably be traveling into the stars and I'll get a glimpse of something. Then next minute I'll be thinking I'm seeing John Cena up in the Starfield,
There you go.
What are you doing up in here floating around? You meant to be over there in the ring. What are you doing? But no, that's all we got for you this week, folks. It's been another fun episode. We got through a lot. We had a great pay-per-view, which was tremendous success for AEW, which was great to see top to bottom. And we've got 2 more interesting pay-per-views coming this weekend. So, Paul, did you want to let the fine folks know where they can find you?
Everywhere.
No.
Okay, so on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, you can find me right here on 4GQ TV. I will say that this Wednesday and this Thursday are 1 each I will be giving away, in celebration of the launch of Starfield, a 1-month Game Pass for Game Pass Ultimate code, one for each night. So tune in both of those nights if you want your chance to win a month of Game Pass Ultimate, and maybe check out Starfield if you don't already have it. And if you do, just check and do the rest of your thing. Let's see. On Tuesdays, you can find me on the Retro Renegades and on my show on the Xbox Ambassador channel, Gaming Differently with Cerebral Paul. This week, I will be continuing with a little bit of whatever to the robot game.
Armored
Core.
Yes,
Armored Core. That's the one. I actually had somebody help me get past that first nasty fight, and I've experienced a lot more of the game. So I have a lot more to discuss now that the game is actually playable and enjoyable by me. So I'll be doing that tomorrow at 12:30 Pacific, 3:30 Eastern.
Nice.
And then on Fridays, you can find me with Wasted with Wise on the Doomsayers Network. And all those nights, you can find me playing Starfield, probably while I'm on shows. So.
Oh yes, this man.
And I will be streaming, as well.
There you go.
Just don't know where I'm going to be streaming, either my own channel or for GQ TV or a little bit of both. So
Paul's going to be dressed up as the MTV Spaceman, Moon Man.
That's it, yeah.
But no. Again, you can find Paul absolutely everywhere. There's not he's like an Orange Cassidy. Does no days off.
Yeah. And before I forget, you can find me on the application formerly known as Twitter.
Yep. Oh, did you mention
Cerebral Paul 1?
Did you mention the Renegades? Did you mention them?
I did mention the Renegades, I believe. Yeah. So
that's
Tuesday nights the Retro Renegades.
That's the one you usually forget.
That's the one I tend to forget. Yeah. They're gonna give me the boot. Yeah.
Jay will be like, "What are you doing?" Of course, you can find me at Speaker TBG absolutely everywhere on the PC, on Steam and Epic. Of course, if you're on Xbox, because it's connected with PC, you find me there, Speaker TBG. Of course, on the app, like Paul just mentioned, formerly known as Twitter. Get this, it's like the artist formerly known as Prince, like kind of vibes now.
Yeah, that's why I call it that. That's exactly why I call it that.
And of course, every Monday and Wednesday evening here on Mondays with the Pop-Up Powerbomb, on Wednesdays with the Backlog Bastards on the 4GQ TV channel. Great stuff. And more great episodes in the future. And of course, if you haven't already done so, like I mentioned at the top of the show, please subscribe to the 4GQ TV channel. There is a lot of great content here from a lot of great content creators. Paul and Carlo are always doing amazing interviews with the weird and the wonderful, from TV writers and actors and movie directors and producers to wrestling writers, you name it, that they cover it. We've got an all-women's pod that's just in its infancy, just knocked out its second episode, so do check that out. That's great to see. Of course, our two pods are on here as well, and I'm sure there's much more content coming as the channel continues to grow. So I want to thank everybody too, from my girl Trinity. Always great to see you in here and your support, love. Of course, the one and only Yobi, my brother from another. Always love chatting it up with you, bro. PK was in here earlier, of course. Timar was in here earlier as well. Dreadpool, the man with the glorious beard. Him and Carla trying to have a competition with each other and try and see who gets through the metal detectors with things hidden in those beards. And of course, Pyro, the man from where All In emanated from. He joined us in here earlier like he always does. Great supporter of the channel, and just much appreciated. So thank you, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the show. We will see you again here Wednesday, like Paul alluded to. Until then, have a great rest of your evening or a great rest of your day, wherever you may be in this world. Good night, everyone.